Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Byron Lazine podcast. Today we have the Propy CEO Natalia and her Vice President of Sales, Adam, joining us. They want to automate the transaction. So many before them have said those words, but they want to do it in a different way on the blockchain. Well, we talk about how maybe Zillow could do that someday. We talk about Open Door even, who they have a lot of respect for. We have an awkward moment when I say, how can you respect Open Door? Because Propy's goal is to keep the agent in the transaction. Let me know what you think about that, and I hope you enjoy this pod. Welcome back to the podcast. I have Natalia from Propy, the CEO, as well as Adam from Propy. I get the double team today, so I'm excited about that. Natalia, you're the CEO, you're the founder, right?
Yes, that's correct. Thanks
Tell
for
us
having
all
us.
about what Propy is, and then we're going to get into this whole world of real estate and NFTs converging. But just tell us about Propy, how you founded the company, and what it is.
Absolutely. Propy's mission is to automate the real estate transaction. And we're
Everybody's trying to do that.
Right, and nobody's succeeding. And we're the team
Right.
that was able to make a couple click experience in purchase of real estate a month ago. So we believe that that was successfully executed, but we're also very patient. So we built a platform for traditional deals with mortgage. But in the back end, we utilize these modern Web3 technologies.
So everybody uses that line, and I apologize for cutting you off. Sometimes I get a little overexcited, so I'll try not to make a habit of that. But Zillow's been saying that for probably 10, 15 years, right? They want to automate the transaction and make it seamless, Uberize real estate. How are you different from them?
Adam, do you want to cover your point of view?
Sure. I think Zillow has brought value, especially when you look at it from shopping from homes from a consumer perspective from, say, 15, 16 years ago when people used to look at the Sunday paper and they really revolutionized Web 2. But where Propy and Web 3 utilizes the ability to buy the house in a more transparent manner in terms of open portals for buyer and seller to be able to kind of communicate. That's really important to be able to use the funds that best fit your lifestyle, what's traditional, whether it's crypto, and crypto inherently brings a level of transparency that most people can't really appreciate. And so the Propy platform combined with the crypto aspect, and then if you layer in some of the NFT things that we're accomplishing that no one has accomplished yet, I think it brings a level of transparency that does streamline the process that people don't really appreciate until they kind of dig into what Natalia and the team has accomplished.
Yeah, so you threw a lot in there. One thing you did say is when Propy buys the house, is Propy buying the house or is the home shopper buying the house?
Yeah, so Propy is a conduit to make home ownership very easy and transparent.
That's the way I understood it.
We're not acquiring assets.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
And to add to Adam's point, we're focusing on automation of the transaction from day one, while Zillow is focusing on monetizing on behalf of agents and not really providing the value to the consumer in terms of the transaction, ease of transaction, and so on. They've acquired a number of companies that contribute to some of the automation pieces in the cycle. But basically, of course, they did a great job on providing the access to listings across the country, but they're not as good as us in terms of automation of the process. And you have to be kind of broker agnostic and agent agnostic, provide the value to the consumer, and not be an advertising portal as Zillow is.
Yeah, not to make this a Zillow. This will be the last. I'll get so much hate in the comments if I make this all about Zillow when we're talking about Propy. It'll be ridiculous. But what would stop them from doing what they already tried to be an iBuyer. That failed, right? Zillow failed at iBuying. They're going to look at power buying because that's the new big craze right now, where they buy the property for, a home shopper, and you've got a whole bunch of other power buyers out there. What would stop them from getting the next great idea and doing what Propy's doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And most likely they will try, but we have 5 years of experience with best engineers, and we've hired the best possible developers that understand both blockchain, cryptography, and real estate. And we've experimented a lot in terms of we've done the first ever blockchain record in real estate, first ever smart contracts in real estate, first ever county recording system on blockchain, but we abandoned that. So nobody can get so much knowledge and know-how as we did.
Yeah, first mover, you're focused on just this. Like you said, you're not monetizing agents. You're not doing all of the other stuff. You're narrowly focused. And that's probably why you were the first ever to actually do it. Walk me through the first ever NFT real estate sale.
Adam, that's your
Sure.
field. You love talking about the first ever
I
NFT
do. I'm a bit of an
revolution.
NFT. I'm an NFT nerd. The one thing I would go back in terms of talking about any of our competitors in the space, we partner with our brokers and agents, whereas I think some other big companies that we've been talking about use agents and brokers as their, cash cow. And so we partner to make the home ownership process better for the homeowner and therefore better for the realtor and the broker. And we always look at utilizing the realtor and broker in the forefront of that process using Web3 technology and making sure they're relevant and keeping that stance within the home ownership buying process. Whereas I can say some other companies, they think they're going to go do one thing, and then they pivot, and then 3 years later do something else. And so our mission is very, very clear that we want home ownership to be very clean, easy, and fair to everyone. And especially if you look at our SaaS-based platform, our software offer management, transaction management platform, it's 100% transparent from a sell side. So we believe that the transparency, especially in a market where there's a lot of offers per house, there can be kind of a gray area of which offer was accepted and why. And we think that transparency is really the best for the realtor and the real estate community. But
Adam, you're bringing a lot of music to real estate professionals' ears right now, because when people hear Web 3.0, they hear a lot of times technology replacing humans.
yeah,
You can go all the way back to 2014 when Peter Thiel wrote 0 to 1. He said, and Peter Thiel, for those that don't know, was one of the founders, the founder of PayPal. He says technology doesn't replace humans; it enhances what they do and makes it better. That's what you're saying Propy's out to do, is to work with the real estate community in a world that's really above a lot of people's heads, whether we're talking crypto or NFTs or the metaverse. But you're committed throughout that process to have agents at the forefront.
we are. I mean, if you look at our crypto summit, we had some of the best realtors in the country there. We had maybe one of the best real estate coaches in the country there. So we had the mayor of Miami there. We had the Miami MLS was a sponsor of that. So we are proud of our relationship with real estate agents and brokers. But we do tell agents and brokers that, to be relevant in the process, you have to bring value. And so with this new technology, our goal is to help agents and brokers stay ahead of that curve, to understand the technology. We're proud of the fact that we've trained hundreds, coming up on almost 1,000 agents just on how to use crypto and blockchain to stay relevant for all types of buyers and sellers. So that is one of our goals, is to make sure the agent brokerages stay relevant in Web3.
Natalia, do you believe that will happen? Will Web3 eliminate the real estate agent, or do you believe the agent stays in the deal?
Well, for sure, the agent won't be disrupted as a profession. In contrary, there are more opportunities for realtors given the Web3 adoption and evolvement. First of all, if agents are bringing NFT deals, meaning they will put ownership of assets on chain with our help, they will be eligible to get royalty fees from all upcoming sales after the first NFT auction. That's first thing. Second, right now there are about 6 million homes being sold annually. With this process automated, you can anticipate Gen Z and millennials, when they move from city to city, they prefer to actually acquire homes. And thus, instead of 6 million homes, you would expect 12 million homes, 18 million homes, more, meaning more clients for agents. And instead of 30 days of anxiety per property, those 30 days for closing can be utilized for finding new clients, making more deals, bringing more value to the community. And then, so that's the automation, time saving, more deals. Oh,
I love it.
finally, they can also become realtors in metaverses.
I want to get to that. Let's save
Yes.
that for a second. I want to dig in. That's I'd love to learn about that. That's a juicy one. But so one thing I want to dig into here a little bit. I love that you're saying they'll get royalties. Agents are going to love getting royalties long term. It's right. It's like creating a downline for EXP. You can make money in your sleep, type of thing. And
Yeah.
I'm not EXP, and I'm not against EXP. I'm just saying that's one way agents are making money without having to do a deal. But you said bringing these deals on the blockchain. Okay. Now I have an understanding of that. I am absolutely not an expert in it. What I don't understand, and I'm hoping you can bring clarity to, is if you bring a deal to the blockchain, what does that mean for the deal having to be recorded in the town hall or the county of where that property exists? Because just because we bring it on the block, you and I bring this property on the blockchain, doesn't mean that it's legally recorded in the town hall. How do you make that connection?
We actually record all deals both in the county and on the blockchain. And as our investor Tim Draper says, at some point, agents, realtors, the industry will start trusting the blockchain record than the county. But for now, we're
And I
doing,
believe that.
yeah, great. And I don't know, Adam, I think you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I could go on and on about this topic, but so I mean, if you think about even in New Orleans, I think there's a little over 8,000 homes right now that no one is quite clear on ownership because of so many
Mm-hmm.
municipalities got flooded after Katrina. It's not really clear. Recording things at a town hall with the clerk's office on a piece of paper, it's so Byzantine and convoluted at this point. It's starting to be, you know, funny. And it really is, with the blockchain and the ability to have transparency with real world assets to make home ownership, for everyone. It's really an interesting time for us. If you look at the market as it evolves, and I don't want to go too deep on it, but I think of like DeFi and the lending, they are evolving very, very quickly to blockchain, NFTs, Web3, kind of that world. I think title and escrow is going to be close behind. I think they will evolve um, relatively quickly. I think the homeowners in the real estate community will force them to evolve. Our biggest challenge is the municipalities, and then you look at a city like Miami with the mayor's really charging hard. He's going to evolve that very quickly. But then you've got some counties, municipalities that I think are going to be slow to evolve. So that kind of confluence of speed and agility versus kind of an old school mentality will be an interesting perspective from to see how real estate evolves with Web3.
And I'm a believer in what both of you are saying, that eventually consumers are going to have this trust in the process as they overall become more educated on it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I just don't see is, and maybe what you're saying is, the consumers are going to be the ones that push these counties and these little small town halls that are, all over America. The consumers are going to be the ones that push that change, or is Propy going to try to make that change? How's the change end up happening? Does it come from consumers, or does it come from educating the town halls direct?
We actually don't have to educate counties. We've developed decentralized registry. And right now we record all deals. We've done over $4 billion already. Open Door became a unicorn when they got this kind of volume, but we won't speak about that. So with with trust to blockchain records and real estate, I think it's realtors who will push consumers and escrow companies to trust the records there, they're immutable, rather than convince consumers to record the deals in the county. And then the county officers, they will rely on those blockchain registries in terms of understanding who they need to tax in terms of property taxes.
See, that's interesting to me because it feels like there will be a time period where there's a disconnect. Am I looking on the block or am I looking in the town? Where am I looking for ownership? I agree with you if it's in the block that anybody can see it, but does your baby boomer see it that way? Are they going to sit down at a closing and see it that way?
Yeah, that's why we're doing it on both blockchain and the county. So for now, they would look at the county, but those who understand more and more and more, they will start trusting our blockchain registry, and they will look at Propy registry. Even now here in Florida, actually, many closing attorneys, they don't go and record deals on counties. As soon as the record is with the closing attorney, they actually they're not obliged to record it with the county.
In Miami. I'm in Naples. I'm sitting in Naples. I could have drove over and seen you guys in person. I don't know that that's the case here.
It's across the Florida what I'm hearing. Some of the closing attorneys insisting on recording in the county right away. Some of them are saying it's not as necessary. So it's office by office, depending on
the title company.
Yes.
Okay. I want to open up that unicorn, Open Door unicorn. What do you mean by that? Open Door became a unicorn because of this technology?
Well, Open Door became a unicorn when they had $4 billion in volume. They were acquiring homes and selling homes. And once they made a volume similar to our volume, they became a unicorn because they're tech driven. And we respect Open Door a lot, even though many agents were threatened by Open Door and then Zillow offers. It's a way still to automate the transaction, to automate the process from the seller side. However, I believe in order to automate the transaction, we have to have an open platform. That's what we're building in Propy. And try to automate both the seller side, the buyer side, and have the agents in process.
Yeah, because Open Door, you guys definitely have said you believe the agent's here in 3.0, and the agent's going to be a big part of your process. Open Door does not feel the same way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Let's be clear on them. So we're almost saying two things. We've got a high level of respect for Open Door, but Open Door does not respect the real estate community. Do you agree or disagree?
Adam, what do you think?
Well, we know those guys over there. So, listen, there's a lot of ways to approach the market. There's been a lot of third-party companies that have came into the traditional real estate space and had a lot of ideas on how to change the space. Right now, everybody looks good when markets are appreciating across the country and everyone makes money. And when they're holding on to houses, this is easy. This is like playing Candyland. And so, for those of us who've been through, 2008, 2009, 2010, somebody's going to be holding a lot of houses when the music stops, kind of like musical chairs. And so what we are, Propy is a tool for the homeowner and the real estate community to make the home buying process smoother and more transparent. I'll walk you through our NFT process, and I think maybe that'll shed a little bit of light to you and the listeners on why we think it's better for the real estate community and for the buyer and the seller, if that's okay with you.
Oh, I'd love to.
So I'll kind of walk through our last NFT in Florida, not too far from you, Byron. Maybe an hour north of you, we NFT'd a house. And so I'll look at it from the sell side, from the homeowner and the listing agent side. So the homeowner says, hey, I want to NFT my home. What they do is they start the process on their own terms. They get an inspection, they get a home appraisal, they have their real estate agent provide them with a CMA. They do a Matterport or some sort of 3D virtual tour. They might even hold an open house, and they say, "Hey, listen, my home is going to be auctioned or sold as an NFT at set date. Say it's 2 weeks from today." So I've done all of those things on my terms. No other agent involved, no other party involved, and I've put my house up for sale to the real estate community with an inspection, CMA, and appraisal, all very, very transparent. And so when I open up my doors for the open house, which we did in the Tampa house, buyers come through. We had over 100 buyers connect their wallet to our auction platform to get registered to bid on said house. So from a buy perspective, I can look at the house, I can look at the CMA, I can look at the inspection report, I can look at the appraisal, I can look at all the lien releases that are provided by a third-party title company. I can look at the LLC that owns that home is owned free and clear, no debt encumbrance. So before I even make an offer, I know exactly what I'm making an offer on. I've got the inspection report. So I can see maybe some bumps and bruises, whereas in today's market, I'm putting an offer on a house without even getting a really good chance to look under the hood. So from both sides, it's very transparent. And both sides have the leverage of the timing. So if I'm on the buy side, I know the house is going to be sold 2 weeks from today. Theoretically, I can move in the day after the auction. So if it's in 2 weeks from today, I can move in the day after I buy the house in 14 days. So it offers a level of transparency that we just haven't seen in real estate. So today's model is I make an offer, it's 45 days of back and forth. We know that in most traditional markets, the inspection is where the real negotiation begins. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of docs flying back and forth. This model is very clean. Seller gets it ready. When they're ready to sell, they set the date. It sells on that date. The buyer, they know the house is going up for sale on a certain date. They look at the house. They can look at all of the paperwork, the lien release, the inspection report, the CMA, the appraisal all ahead of time. If they like the house, they can bid on the house. And it all happens very quickly, seamlessly, and very transparently.
Should that buyer rely on that inspection report that's been done up front by the seller? And an appraisal is just, one human being's opinion of value. So should they rerun those reports after they're awarded the bid?
It's a good question. Most realtors, I talk about this every day. So most realtors talk about that. I think the last study I saw that nearly 41% of homes in Q4 were bought without an inspection. So if you think about that, it's pretty scary.
I bought one without an inspection. I bought an investment property without an inspection.
Which is funny.
It worked out great. Yeah, we made over 25% on the deal. It was a flip, and we kind of know what we're doing, but I don't advise that, right?
For sure.
Right.
That's why we better have inspection reports in advance.
I agree with the one in advance. I think in anybody listening to this who's thinking about selling a property, this is great advice. What Adam and Natalia are talking about is having an inspection report prepared for the buyer so that you yourself as the seller know, okay, I've got to address this issue that I didn't even know about, right?
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. But as the buyer, we're talking about a level of transparency on an inspection report that could be a friend of the seller that did the inspection, right? Like I'm just like, if I'm presenting an appraisal and I hired that appraiser as the seller before market, so there's a different level of transparency with an appraisal when I as a homeowner hire that appraiser as opposed to a bank hiring the appraiser, right? Same thing with the inspection potentially, and everybody's licensed and they're supposed to do things a certain way, but can those be manipulated up front, and should the buyer still run a second one after they win the bid?
Actually, in North California, that's a common practice to do disclosures and inspection reports in advance.
Absolutely.
We have a huge market proving that it really works. And of course, as more inspection companies are independent and have high reviews, the more they will be hired. And hopefully at Propy, we will also be providing recommended inspection reports in certain areas.
Yeah, I mean, California, the amount of disclosures they have well exceeds any other state. I mean, disclosures.io was born out of that region that you're talking about because of that very issue. So I agree with you. There's certain regions, that being a very particular one, where this is more common than others. But I could see issues in the majority of America trusting a seller prepared inspection up front. So and they would have the
Possibly.
option, I'm sure, to just do their own inspection. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Adam.
they would have the option to do their own inspection. We may, as it evolves, it may be more than one inspection. We see how that looks. It's tough for me to get hung up on that too much because I know that over 40% of homes are being sold without inspection today. So it's tough for me to take that whole inspections are very, very crucial to us when in reality, almost half of houses aren't even being inspected, which I think is very dangerous. By
Well,
the way, I don't think it's a good idea.
well, we've also had 26% of deals year to date are investors, and so an investor is more likely to potentially waive an inspection where, your first time home buyer who's being educated on the liability there probably isn't.
Yeah, and in the case of the Tampa Bay home, we had two open houses. So if a buyer was concerned about the state of the home, they had ample opportunity to come in, take a look at the house, et cetera, et cetera. So the thing I will say about the NFT and Byron, your kind of take on it's very realtor centric. They kind of look at everything from, hey, what's the best interest of my client? The NFT process, that's the whole purpose is to be 100% transparent. It's not for the ability to sneak in a guy who knows an inspector, et cetera, et cetera. It's to bring a really transparent process. And to be fair, in today's market, you're making an offer on a house with no inspection, sometimes putting earnest money down without inspection, sometimes waiving the right to even be able to negotiate the deal, even if the inspection comes back. So there is always could be kind of gray areas if you're not careful, but our goal was just to make it as transparent and as seamless as possible. And that sounds like we're beating a dead horse with this transparency, but we really do feel that way. Whatever's best for the homeowner in time usually wins.
100%. And I completely agree that this is a more transparent technology. I think it's a little unfair that you characterize it as a realtor perspective, because these are things that buyers would say. Actually think I'm taking a consumer perspective on the questions that they will have as
True.
they get educated in this process, because they've said it on traditional deals, right? If a seller presents their own inspection report, I've heard buyers say this so many times, not necessarily the agent. The agent probably knows the inspector and is the one saying, no, I've used that inspection company so many times. Like they're legit. Now, Joe, the inspector, would never do that. It's really the buyer driving that concern.
Yeah, and in
It's a fair
fact,
point.
yeah, I had a personal experience with this lack of inspection. We're here in Florida, we've been trying to buy a home, and during the closing process, inspectors revealed Chinese drywall. And it wrecked the process for the sellers as well. It's not only for the buyers' interest, but now the sellers, they have to negotiate because now they've been on the market for, I think, 2 months because they kept prolonging the inspection contingency to really reveal other Chinese walls or not. But if they have hired inspectors beforehand, they would probably not list the property, fix it, and then go to the market.
Natalia, you guys have certified agents. Kind of playing off of this, how about certified builders, where when you have a new construction, right? Now we know every material that was put into this property from day one, and the life cycle we can really track. We're talking about, you get into the Northeast where I'm from, you got 100, 200-year-old homes, and the inspection becomes so much more critical. But when you have a brand new property, and maybe like you're certifying agents right now, you have a certified builder that is going through, a certain material list and grading system so that everything is truly documented down to every single nail. Have you guys started to think about that and what that would look like?
That's a great idea. We definitely are not thinking that within Propy because we'll have too much to accomplish on the end of the automation of the home
I'm sure.
sales process. But hopefully, somebody is listening to us now and would want to launch that type of a company, and we'd be happy to partner and help. And again, putting critical data that can be disrupted by fraudulent actors. That's the true essence of blockchain value. Whether it's inspection reports, even, or all the materials, or title history, as soon as it's on the blockchain, it's impossible to alter this data. You can add, but you can never delete or change all data. That's why, yeah, viable idea.
And to take that even further, Byron, imagine a day 20, 30, 40 years from now, every time you have your house worked on, that data is put on the blockchain.
That's what I'm talking about.
It'll render inspections, really interesting when you have every time the service contractor comes to your house, that data is put on chain, you present the house. And if you look at the car industry, Alfa Romeo just launched the first NFT of your service records on chain. That'll be especially useful up in the Northeast when you have boilers built on 250-year-old houses that are really interesting and unique.
We mentioned the California market earlier. The permitting process in California is miserable. They've got an inventory crisis and they're not helping themselves out with the way they're going through permitting. This could really change the way permits are granted. Am I right?
Yes.
I think everybody, every investor, every flipper, every homeowner would love to see that. All right. So to wrap this up, and if you guys are not following this at all, like if this is new to you, Natalia did a podcast recently on Tom Ferry. She's going to be doing some more in the future. But Natalia, what should an agent do besides listening to your content, when you're spending time with Tom or like this podcast, which we're grateful for? What should an agent be doing right now if they're not in Miami, they're not even in a market that, is buzzing about this world, about the crypto space? What should they do today to start getting educated?
Well, the crypto industry is very inclusive. It's global. It's remote, friendly. It's things happening, and they're not only Miami focused. So definitely get on board. Follow communities on Telegram, on Twitter, on Discord. Join this community of builders and crypto millionaires, crypto billionaires. There are many customers for you there. And we offer a crypto certified course for realtors. You can join it, and within 7 sessions, you would learn about what is a crypto wallet, what is a cryptocurrency, blockchain, what is a smart contract. A smart contract is not an alternative to a purchase agreement. What's the role of agents? How to NFT a home? And then agents are getting those certifications. And once agents are certified, often we meet on Fridays as a community and we talk about the latest trends in the real estate and NFTs and crypto. And of course, recently we're talking a lot about metaverses.
How many agents are certified?
Soon to be 1,000.
And are majority of them in Miami, or are they all over?
All over. In fact,
all over.
we just had our crypto summit with Tom Ferry, the Miami mayor, and we had about 500 participants, attendees, and half of them were from different states. They arrived to Miami for the summit.
I mean, there's so many avenues, and I'm sure as we all learn, I mean, you guys are obviously at the forefront. As the rest of us learn, I should say, there's going to be a lot of other use cases that come to mind, whether that's an Airbnb, or I look at like Michael Jordan's property he cannot sell in Chicago with the 23. I mean, having, maybe 23 fans buy 23 NFTs and have access, they all get 2 weeks a year to that property is another use case that's totally different from what we're talking about here today.
Fractional ownership. I would also add that you can record your current blockchain real estate deals on blockchain utilizing our platform. So you can
without being certified?
without being certified. You can
Okay.
join Propy, you can start a transaction, you can send offers via Propy, you can receive offers via Propy for more transparency and automated summary of multiple offer situations. You can sign purchase agreements with DocuSign integrated, and every single step of traditional deals with dollars mortgage would get recorded on blockchain. You would get your certificate of ownership on blockchain, so anybody can start these transactions today.
Here, I'll throw something at you because the market is so frothy right now. I have a little bit of renovation happening on my Connecticut home. And I'm like, you know what? As is every time I do a renovation on a house, I start thinking it's never going to be perfect as it is right now. I should sell it. As a seller, how could I take advantage of selling my Connecticut home right now in a community? By the way, this Connecticut community, I am the youngest by probably 30 years that lives in this
Mhm.
HOA. How could I take advantage?
So you can start a transaction on Propy today as a seller and select whether you want to accept cryptocurrency
Mm-hmm.
or just dollars, or maybe you want to NFT this home. And for NFTing homes, we have this form. So propy.com, get started. We have this form. You would get connected to our team that will guide you through what it means to NFT a home.
Beautiful. I'm gonna look at that because I may just cash out. You never know.
Yeah, let's do
I'm
that.
For people that are getting started like me on the crypto sides. I'm on Coinbase and Coin Wallet. Does that make me a complete novice? Am I like a rookie joke out here when you hear that? What does that
No,
mean
no, no, it's
when I
perfect.
say that? That's
It's
fine.
perfect. I think as soon as you're not investing millions of dollars in crypto, when you in that point you would need like hardware wallet and keep it in the safe and have multi-sig so more people are responsible for the funds. But as soon as it's not at scale, but rather you invest here and there and you're learning by doing that, then Coinbase is just fine because centralized exchanges allow you to forget your password, while decentralized wallets such as MetaMask. This is where you can lose your seed phrase or the private key and goodbye the funds. But definitely, alongside of Coinbase, I would recommend to get MetaMask. So those listeners who are not yet in crypto, that's kind of the first thing to do. Get Coinbase app and get MetaMask wallet and then play with it by connecting the MetaMask to OpenSea.io because this will show you, it's a marketplace for NFTs.
Yeah.
It will show you how the future of Web3 will look like, where instead of logging in with passwords, with emails, you would actually log in with your own wallet, and your wallet would have different assets, art, real estate. It will have all your data that is not shareable to the corporations like Facebook, Zillow, and the like.
I love it. This is a really good breakdown. I appreciate you guys playing ball with me on, like the open door stuff, even though Natalia, you did, in fairness, kind of dodge that one, but I don't blame you. If you guys know those peeps, it's all good. I just really appreciate your time. You guys have shared so much with the community from your connection with Tom and other things that you're doing. I hope everybody goes over to Propy and starts getting educated. And I hope I get the opportunity to sit down with you guys in the near future and do this again in person.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you for the great questions.